we are very sensitive about like what we put out there. Like we try to make sure that we look at the content or the story or the characters or the casting from a very 360 perspective, and like it kind of sucks that we have to do that. And I don't mean that in like like it's such a chore, but it's like the fact that we will get judged so hard, you know, on like little decisions of the story or things like that.
What kind of can you give us an example of that?
I mean, for example, like even just casting like a person in a video, okay? Like we have to think about, should they be Asian or not? You know, like it's like
Really?
we can't just have like a default like, yeah, they should be Asian because that's just who I imagine. Because here's the thing, like if we put someone that's Asian as the lead, we know that there's going to be a large or that people generally will glance over and be like, oh, this must be like an Asian thing, right? Like the default is not to think like, oh, this is just a video that is just a video. Like it would be like, oh, is this an Asian thing first? It doesn't help that our name is Wang Fu Productions either. I'll be the first to admit that. But then like, so like, you know, if we want to be more I guess if we want to be, people think that we pigeonhole ourselves as Asians, like, oh, you guys only cast Asians, which is not true. But like we do want to give opportunities to Asian American actors, and so if we do that, some people will say, oh, you guys need to like open up your group more and have more diversity. It's funny, like white people are the diversity in our narrative. But then if we do that, we also have a large portion of our audience that will be like, man, you guys sold out. You guys are supposed to represent us, and why would you do this? You're supposed to tell our stories, you know? And like, so even something as simple as like, who do we put as the lead is already something that we have to like consciously say, this one's going to be this, you know?
So what do you do in being the person that's making that decision? How do you make that decision?
So these days, like I'm like pretty unapologetic about it. Like we will always have at least I think one lead that's Asian American. That's just because we want to give those opportunities since they don't have as much out there. And so if people want to give us a hard time about it, like that's another thing too. Like we know that there are Wong Fu haters out there, and like at the end of the day, it's like, you know, we're actually trying to make a difference, and a lot of haters in general are not, right? So if you don't like what we're doing, then you should go make it yourself, right? And not in an arrogant way, but like literally, haters, go make things, you know, and then you can be part of the conversation.
Be the change you want to be in the world.
Right, exactly. I mean, I don't want to get into it, but like there's even like because we tell like a lot of romantic stories, right? So even like what pairing of races that we have to, like, that's something that like we have to be sensitive to, because there's different perspectives in the community of like, you know, what's acceptable or what's offensive or whatnot. And it's just like, oh man, I wish we could just like not think about this, you know, and then we could just be accepted for just putting ourselves as we are, you know. So like, do
you just decide at a certain point and just go, you know what, this is how I feel about this role and these characters and how they would interact, so this is what I'm gonna make it? Yeah,
generally it's about that. We still do, we want to definitely also be conscious that, you know, the world is diverse, and we do want to reflect that as well. But at the same time, you know, I actually take a lot of like notes from like the African American like entertainment community. Like they have like a lot of great films where they're just unapologetically like, yeah, this is just a group of, you know, African American friends, and like they don't have to explain why, you know. And same thing, like there's tons of movies that are just like a group of white people. It's like, and they don't have to explain why. Like I wish we could get to a point where we can choose to do that or not do that and not explain why, you know. And that gets really dicey. Like I mean, we want to, if we're asking for inclusion, we should be inclusive too. But at the same time, we're trying to balance, trying to give ourselves, you know, opportunities as well. So this is all the stuff that we have to think about before we cast something, you know.
No,
like,
totally.
And there's different expectations from, you know, the fans. You know, like, and what they think that, you know, we should do. Yeah, we have some very hardcore fans, not on the racial stuff, but in like, if we step away outside of filmmaking, some people will, oh, you guys have changed. Oh, like I want the old videos. You know, what is this? This doesn't feel like any work was put into this. Oh man, dude. You know, everyone like that's another thing. Like doing this for a long time, you realize you can't please everyone, and people only know what they don't want. Yeah, no one knows what they want. Like when you give it to them, they love it. Then they realize, oh yeah, that's what I wanted. But they only know like, I don't like that. You know, like, so. Yeah. At the end of the day, you guys just have to be, or we all have to just be honest with what we want to make. That's like we're in the driver's seat, right? And obviously be conscious of, you know, how our content affects people. But you can only do that to a certain point before you are completely like just pandering.
Yeah, then you're just pandering to everybody that has a complaint.
Exactly.
That doesn't help anything.
Exactly right.
I think that the ultimate, at least one of the ultimate challenges I see with representing diversity in videos, or I guess really in anything, but for us it's videos because that's what we do.
Right.
Is you kind of have two options, and one is like, do you focus on race and ethnicity to represent diversity?
Yeah.
In one hand, you're representing diversity, but you're also now focusing on race and ethnicity to do so. Or do you not focus on race and ethnicity, which has its own merits, but at the same time, you end up sometimes not having as much diversity because you do that. And so it's like they both can have like noble pursuits, but they can both have bad causes because of that, or vice versa.
Well, I would say this, just to disvalue of some of that concern. Like the fact that you're even aware of that is already like what a lot of people don't even, they don't even take that step, right? So if you take that first step of thinking about it, like then that's already what more than like 99% of like Hollywood's probably doing. I mean, I agree. Like I think, at least from my perspective, it's exactly like those two, because like in terms of like wanting to be seen and feel like we're accepted, there's two ways to present Asians or diversity, right? It's like you paint it red, and now you can educate people. Now you can say this is what makes us different, but also the same. Like for example, like a show like Fresh Off the Boat or whatever, where it's like this is clearly, we're going to bring you into our world, right? Or you do it like what you said, where it's like we don't even draw attention to it, and it's just a character, and they're human, and this is just a family, or this is just a group of friends, and that has both actually have benefits, I think, to push the message forward. I think once you try to choose one or the other, that's when you actually have like a disagreement actually between, like, it's literally two like ways of thinking from like the community, where it's like which is actually the best one. I actually think it's a case by case situation depending on the story of the project.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, as is most things in life, really.
It depends. That's the problem with this era right now. Like everyone wants to have a 280 character tweet where it's like, this is definitive.
Yeah, Phil, is this black or is this white?
Exactly.
No. If you enjoyed this clip, this excerpt from talking to Phil Wang from Wang Fu, check out the whole episode. It's on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/corridorcast, or listen to us anywhere you can find podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, whatever else is out there. Who knows? It's a lot. But you can find us there. We're there. We've made sure to put ourselves everywhere. All right. Go check it out.